Okay, so lining up on the grid in the Misty Racing freshly built EnduroKA car, race 2 of the weekend. This was the Ford Power Live event at Brands Hatch. My first ever experience in these cars, my first ever experience at this sort of race weekend. An awesome weekend. Loads of people arrived wearing masks, gloves, covered in hand sanitizer and socially distant and stuff like that, so don't worry. But it was awesome to be a part of. Big thanks to Misty Racing as well, that sort of, offered this drive to me quite last minute. But it was good to be sort of, in a race car again. I think the weekend before this I was out in Misty Racing's Saxo in the Track Attack Tricolor Trophy, which was absolutely awesome. So I had the opportunity to come and do this, my first taste of KA racing. Incredibly slow, incredibly fun, and I highly recommend it. We'll talk a bit more about it as the race goes on. Slightly shorter race due to a red flag, but this is the green flag lap. Every race, no matter if it's a sprint or an enduros, this is a 15-minute sprint race, the second of 4 races. You do a rolling start. So the car alongside me, the white and blue car, you can probably just about see it in the interior mirror. He is technically ahead of me, but he has no interest in keeping up with the cars ahead. He had a novice cross on the back of his car, so I don't know if that's why or if he had a problem, but effectively the car's ahead. I want to be on the back of, and I'm kicking myself right now because they have broken away for the start of the race. Bit frustrating, but we've got a bit of a run up, so it's not all lost, and the lights ahead have gone out and we are officially racing in race 2, or race 1 of the day. So despite starting so far back, they all slow each other up, so I'm able to wing it round the outside of these first 2 cars. Absolutely awesome fun. So a really good start. So effectively that's 3 cars picked off before Druids, which is awesome actually. I can't wish for a better start. Started P18 into P15 straight away, into Graham Hill. And again, cars slowing each other down. You're not meant to brake a lot in this, but because they're in such close proximity to each other, they end up standing on the brakes, and we've got to run on this car ahead now. And that's P14, down the inside, and then into clearways, looking to cut back on this guy. I've done it before in the Coupe Cup, but he holds the car very, very tight, so managed to, to hold a bit of pace moving forward. Need to apologise to this guy now though for this. Didn't realise there was a car up the inside of him as well, so he sort of got pincered, had nowhere to go, ended up tapping me on the right rear. Yeah, so sorry about that. Didn't realise that there was another car there, but you hit me is what you need to take away from it. But good sport. So now back onto these 2 cars ahead, and honestly a really strong sort of opening lap, and an even stronger sort of end to this one, as you'll see in a second. But now, in a driver's head, it's about getting your head down and getting settled into the race. You've got out of the start phase, you've sort of got to a point where your pace is. Still learning the car. I had 5 laps in qualifying the day before this, which isn't a lot of time. It was very, very busy, a lot of traffic. About 27 cars or something like this out for the EnduroKAs, which was an awesome turnout. But it's all about slipstream. These cars are they're bricks. They punch big holes in the air. So you want to get into a toe or in the slipstream of the car ahead. And you can see here the black and yellow car is dipped down the inside. The black and blue car sees him last minute, corrects himself. Oh Howard. Gets sideways, but an opportunistic move. Managed to hang it around the outside. Luckily the black and yellow car didn't force me out onto the gravel, because he could have done. He's still up the inside here. The move's not done, but I'm on the inside of Graham Hill. It's a very difficult place to overtake, and forced him out. And if he's on the outside of me there, he will end up on the grass. That's my corner, and I'd like to think I'm fair, but I can also be aggressive, and there's a lot of respect shown between a lot of the drivers, most of the drivers in this championship, and he must be one of those. He didn't do anything silly, he didn't hold it there, so he's now sitting in behind me though, and I'll try not to defend during this race as well. You know, it's all about carrying speed, it's all about momentum, and being able to carry as much speed as possible. When you're in cars that are so underpowered, especially like these, and they're all evenly matched, you want to carry as much speed as you possibly can. And that's what we're doing here. So trying not to defend as much as we can, just running our own race, exploring racing lines a little bit as well. As I say, still getting used to the car. Might have another play in these at some point. I won't, you know, obviously this is the only race I did this weekend. We're just playing around with different racing lines, braking, although you don't really brake in these, which is a weird sensation. Just getting used to the car, because it's, I think, the only other sort of vehicle I've driven which is so underpowered or more underpowered than this is the 2CVs in the 24-hour racing, of which I've done 5 of those races. So I guess in underpowered machinery got a little bit of experience, but yeah, these are sort of different in a way, that there is more grip. But these are absolutely awesome. You can see the amount of people here. It's absolutely class. It was a great weekend really for this. The racing as well, actually. If you're not a driver and you just want to come and watch some really close racing in the UK for, you know, cheap as chips sort of tickets, come and watch these. So the first race I ever watched was the day before this, in race 1, with Simon in the Misty Racing car, and it was brilliant. Some of the best racing you'll see. It was nose to tail for the 15-minute sprint, and the endurance races I hear are no different. They do a 12-hour, or they did do a 12-hour endurance race at my local at Snetterton. They've got the Brands Indy 500 in a couple of weeks' time. If get down to Brands and go and watch it, because it's 8 hours of nose to tail sprint racing, a little bit sideways, exploring with the stamping on the brake to get the car turned in. I got it turned in all right there. Scrub off a little bit of speed, not too much. Managed to bring it back. There's Malin, a quick thumbs up. Bless him. Malin and the guys, Paul and Malin, were working on the car this weekend. They had 2 very long days, so big thank you to them, and also the wider team for everything really. But the opportunity to race this weekend was class. And Malin, if you're not a racer and you sort of don't know much about what's put on the boards, you'll see he's the only one out there on the pit wall putting out the pit board. Professional team. But he's letting me know how long is left in the race, as well as how sort of, you know, the gap to the car ahead. And I was slowly seeing that come down every single lap, so that was good. But I'm not sure if Melon remembered or realised that the time left in the race is also on a massive board on the start-finish line. So it's fine, you know, it's reinforcement for me. It sort of reiterates how long is left. Tells me to crack on. You see him again there. No one else putting out pit boards for their cars. Professional outfit, Misty Racing. But again, just getting a feel for the car really. You can see just trying to get it moving around a little bit, and the gap's coming down all the time. Turning in slightly earlier there. So we're getting a little bit of pressure from the car behind, but you know, he's going to have to brake incredibly late and still make that corner to get in, you know, ahead of me. And equally into Graham Hill, it's very difficult to overtake. I think I've probably only ever overtaken one person through there at the start of a race. Doesn't really count. And here into Clearways is a really good overtaking opportunity actually. If you're coming to this circuit, I think, you know, in qualifying you usually take a wide line onto the straight to carry as much speed as possible, because it's better for just outright time over one lap. But in a race, hugging that closer line is a lot better, and some drivers don't always do that. So if you have the opportunity to dive up the inside, you can sometimes find it. So it's not too bad, but the race is sort of unfolding for me. It's sort of becoming boring. You know, I think for me, you know, when you're in the seat, I'm firmly fixed on trying to get to the car ahead. that's what the goal is, try and close that gap even more and have a fight. But there you go, the car behind is now alongside me. I turned in a lot earlier to try and shut the door and defend, but he carried more speed, but he's on the outside of the ground hill, and again, just like earlier in the race, he would be forced out wide, so he decided to stick in behind me rather wisely. And you know, I'm pulling him along at the moment with the tow, but he does start to drop off now for the rest of this race. And we're still closing up to the cars ahead very slowly, but you can see it, and as a driver you see it happening, and it sort of drives you on a little bit, and that, as well as visually being able to see the cars ahead getting closer to you. Malin there putting the board out to me also just reinforces the fact that we've got decent pace and we are very slowly catching them. I think, as well as a driver, at this point I'm just praying that they start fighting with each other even more. You need them to fight with each other, to slow each other down. You keep racing your race, and then before you know it, you're on the back of them. But again, the tow is the big thing here. I've got no tow, no slipstream for pretty much the whole race. But the car's very good, handles incredibly well, pulls really well out of corners. So it's a really decent build actually from the team for a really strong championship in the EnduroKAs. Yeah, really entertaining to watch the racing as well as to be a part of it. Some high caliber drivers have also raced in this. As we come to clearways once again, 2 cars off on the left there on the exit. Now, they must have taken each other out. I've not seen any footage of it, but they must have taken each other out. But they're 2 cars that we had already gone past in this race. So yeah, they must feel a bit silly. Big shout out to the marshals actually on that side of things. You know, at the best of times, they're heroes, especially right now with everything going on in the world. They could easily just sit at home. Marshals aren't paid to be there. To anyone who's not sure how it works, they are volunteers. They are motorsport fans who give up their weekends and their long days as well. You know, they're there before most of the drivers, and they leave after most of the drivers and the teams as well. You know, if there's clear up and stuff like this, so fair play to them. But they were looking after those drivers. You can see that the drivers around in the car are absolutely fine, a bit battered and bruised. Well, their egos anyway. I think they were fine physically, but they must have taken each other out there. And this is why it's frustrating as well, because the red flags come out. That's the reason for the red flags, right? And you know, as a driver, so we've closed this gap massively. You can see it very obviously there. The green flags are still flying. We've already had a lap where we've seen those cars off there. There's yellow flags out. You can't overtake into there. There's no need for the reds. There's no need for the reds at all. There's 4 minutes left in the race. I'm guessing because there's 4 races for the EnduroKAs, they throw the red flag just so they can clear it up and keep the timetable on schedule. But the cars ahead are fighting, and they slow each other down as the red flags come out. With 4 minutes left or so, we are right on the back of them, and that's the end of the race. But massively enjoyable. Thank you to the EnduroKAs for the opportunity, and Misty Racing for the opportunity. It was awesome.